Hello everyone, my name is Owain on the Thomas Bros channel, and today we will be talking about the new Devil May Cry anime that came out yesterday as of recording this. So, I'm a big Devil May Cry fan. I got into it fairly recently because my friend was talking about it a lot because he's a massive fan of Devil May Cry, and it got me interested in it. So I started playing the third game. I'm still playing the third game, and I just binge watched the entire anime yesterday. So now I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on it. This is loads of spoilers, by the way. This is not a spoiler-free review, so click off now if you don't want to get spoiled. 3, 2, 1, llamas. Okay, and I do also want to say that I haven't played all of the games. I'm playing the third one right now, and my friend has told me, and I've also seen bits from the other games, my friend's told me a lot about the other games, so I do know a lot, but because I haven't actually played the games, there may be some references in the show that I don't understand, some certain bosses that were included in this as characters that I don't know, so just bear with me if I don't know all the characters' names or don't get all the references. Okay, so episode 1 opens with this really cool scene. You've got like a heist thing in this museum, and as the robbers are like trying to take all the treasures and stuff, you have the White Rabbit, who I'm pretty sure was in the Devil May Cry manga, books, whatever, that was the inspiration, for the third game, but the White Rabbit wasn't in the third game. But he's here, and I'm gonna be honest, when I saw the White Rabbit was the villain, I was like, oh, okay, but then when in the trailers you see people like Mundus and Spada, it's like, and this is all because of just some rabbit. Like, I did not take him seriously at all in the trailer, but my God, was I wrong about him. He's an amazing villain, White Rabbit. He shows up in this opening in the museum. He hired the criminals to come in, probably to help him get in, and he steals the Forced Edge, which is the sword of Spada. And then he proceeds to just go on an absolute massacre, just brutally killing all these robbers left, right, and centre. And it's a really fun sequence. He's a really fun, cool villain. But that attack, and he even blows up the whole museum as well. And that attack then leads into a sequence with, I believe, Dante, when you first get to see Dante, and I know he's actually in this, voiced by Nero, who, also spoilers for all the games as well, but Nero is obviously Virgil's son, so I know some people probably find it weird that he's, playing Dante in the show, but actually, as a young Dante, because obviously this, show isn't canon to the games, so this is like its own story, but I quite like, actually, the voice for Dante, and the design as well. I quite like the design. I mean, the design for Dante and Virgil in the show is not nearly as good as their designs in something like the 5th game, but this is like their younger versions, like, meant to look a bit more like, how they looked in Devil May Cry 3. So for how they look and how they sound, they actually sound really cool. But you get to see the sequence where Dante fights those Grim Reaper-looking demons from the 3rd game, and he kills them. Plasma, actually, swaps out and changes into a woman's baby, the woman that Dante saved. And Dante is actually really funny in this show. All, like, the different lines he says, like, he goes like, man, Skeletor did not hold up since the 80s, after he's killed all the Grim Reaper looking guys. That was funny. And then there's later scenes where, like, Lady rips off his shirt thinking that he's a demon, and, like, you just get to see his abs, and then he's like, incredibly handsome, ripped, irresistible dreamboat. Yes, that's me. But that still doesn't mean you get to tear my clothes off. He's really funny. I love Dante, and Lady's actually pretty cool, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, Dante saves that woman and realizes that the baby's a plasma, but obviously he gets like hit across the head by that lady because obviously he points a gun at a baby and she doesn't know that it's a plasma. But obviously this establishes demon hunters, obviously, and I didn't actually think that they'd show demon hunters so casually, because you have the later, I think it's the next scene actually. Again, this isn't exactly really organised. This isn't going to be an organised review, it's just kind of scatterbrain thoughts. But you have the scene with the vice president, who might as well be the president. Also, the president sounds really weird. He sounds really high-pitched, and he's got a cowboy hat. He's like, it's just really, really odd how he sounds. But the vice president is essentially the president, because he just tells the president what to do, essentially. But they have that meeting about the attack on the museum, and they realise that it's demons, quite literally from hell, or from the dimension, that thing that humanity has made as called hell. And something really interesting, actually, that they say in this, that there's obviously a energy sort of block or whatever stopping the demon world from getting to the human world. But every once in a while, the rift, like that sort of blocks them, the energy barrier, sort of weakens a little bit, and that allows smaller, weaker demons to come through, which explains why there's a need for demon hunters at all, because there are like weaker, lower level demons coming through these little portals that are being made. And when they review the footage of the White Rabbit's massacre, and he's like, oh, if you want to know where I'll be next, then find the demon hunters. So then that's what they do. They try to find the demon hunters, and my friend told me there's like a lady with red hair that I think was apparently in the second game, and she shows up for like 1 second, but she doesn't show up after that. But they end up getting nothing from them, so they go to I can't remember his name, but it's like the short fat guy that is actually like the has that dynamic with Dante, and he like hires all the different demon hunters and stuff. He gets captured, and he ends up telling them about Dante and the necklace, and that makes them realise that the White Rabbit is after the necklace, because the White Rabbit also has an identical looking one that is blue, while Dante's is red. And I really liked how in this show they've tied what like the game sort of calls magic. They've made it so in the show it's just technology that, again, people back then would have perceived as magic, because they explain how the Forced Edge is like some kind of decryptor. The two amulets things put together is like the code, and it like gets decrypted and all that. It's really cool to like explain the technology of it all. But yeah, so Sparda, and when I saw Sparda and Mundus, I know they call him Mundus, but I call him Mundus. And you see Mundus and Sparda in like that flashback in episode 2, and I was jumping up and down, screaming, because of how much me and my friend have built up these two characters' appearance. So much so I didn't actually hear what Lady was saying. But no, so Sparda was a knight that was, and this might actually be in the second episode, but he was a knight working for Mundus, maybe as like his right-hand man. Mundus was invading the human world, he was trying to enslave it, and one day Sparda finally realised that it's not very good attacking innocent people. So he had like that really cool fight scene where he killed a bunch of demons, and he ended up using the Force Edge with the two amulets to close off the portal to the demon world, which explains why Mundus and all that are there, yada yada yada. Getting off topic. That leads into actually the end of this episode. The end of first episode actually has a really cool thing where Dante's playing like Just Dance or something, and he's got the hat, and it's meant to be like a reference to the 5th game where he had like the hat and he was doing like Michael Jackson moves and all that, like he's a professional dancer or something. So I liked that little reference. But in the end, that ties into the 2nd episode, where Darkcom, which is the name of the government agency that's going after Dante and dealing with the demons, they are told by the Vice President, go after Dante. And then we're introduced to like their strike team, including Lady. And I really like Lady. Her favourite word is apparently the F word, because she says that in about every other scene that she's in. But no, I really like Lady. I thought she was a really cool character. And they have like actually these anti-demon bullets that like explode the demon's body parts to make it so they can't regenerate at all. So that was a cool thing that they've already had technology in place. But they go and attack Dante's place, and they use like this small fat guy as a distraction after... Wait, missed a big bit. Virgil. You had in the 1st episode, Dante goes to like that ice cream parlor and he fights Plasma, who is pretending to be Virgil. That was a cool fight scene, but obviously the real Virgil is yet to come. But that was a cool bit, and the fat guy comes in as a distraction to pay Dante for that sequence. But it's a distraction. Dante knows this. He ties him up to a chair to make them think that, and then dresses him up to look like him, to look like himself. And they buy it. They go in. They're about to like kill the fat man when they realize, oh wait, it's not him. And then Dante kicks all of their asses. That's like that bit where he like hits the balls on like the balls on the pool table and they go flying into their head. I honestly thought they would just knock their head off because they actually hit the walls and there's like a crater thing in the wall. And Dante's just throwing around like loads of jokes. He throws in like a basically like a Yo Mama joke in there where he's like, yeah, I'm basically a superhero when that guy shoots him and he like regenerates from that. And he's like, yeah, I'm basically a superhero, but I wouldn't call myself that. Your mom does though. Jesus, Dante. But he ends up beating all of them, and that's when Lady comes in, because she sees him regenerate, and she's like, oh, okay, so it's, he's got to be a demon. So she goes in, tries to kill, Dante, or not kill him, but rips away his shirt. That's when you get the scene I talked about earlier, because demons have, like, a mark on their chest, like a purple mark or whatever, to show they're demons, but Dante doesn't have one, so Lady's like, you must be a half-breed, half-human, half-demon. And that sort of plants the idea in Dante's head, because he never knew his father. His mother and brother Virgil died for Virgil, died at the hands of demons when they were young, and he never knew his father. So that presents the possibility that, obviously, his father could be a demon, which he is. His father is Sparta. But no, so in the end, Dante ends up getting captured, and like he has this thing put into his neck by Lady, which will make his head explode if he leaves like a 1 mile radius of her. So he's captured, leads into episode 3 actually, where the White Rabbit gets a rocket launcher, boom, blows up the truck that Dante's being carried in, and the fat guy as well. And Dante's like trying to be like, we are in like, they've got their boots down on our necks. He's trying to get like the guy to take his buckle so he can unpick the locks, but he just doesn't understand what he's talking about. And then he actually Dante's talked to the Vice President, because he goes on call with him. I say on call like it's a WhatsApp call, no, but the Vice President essentially tells him, oh, God can save your soul or whatever. I don't like the Vice President. I don't like him. He justifies everything with like these God beliefs and stuff, but it's like you're because he kills like refugees that have done nothing wrong, and it's like, would God really want you to do that though? No, not really. So yeah, I don't like him for all the stuff that he does. But yeah, the White Rabbit attacks Dante and all them, trying to get to Dante. And he actually has a lot of bosses from Devil May Cry working for him. I don't know, like the plant lady and the one with like the big like black horns or whatever, but I do know Indy and I can't remember their names, but it's like a really big blue guy and a really big red guy, and they were a boss in Devil May Cry 3, a boss that I did beat, and it was actually a really fun boss, and you got to have their heads as weapons because their heads were on the swords. But they're not in this, but they do sound really British, and it's like extremely British, and it's like, why? But they fight the the Darkcom sort of task force. In the end, Dante's able to break out of like those binds, and he chases after the White Rabbit and his whole guys. And then you've got like they play a lot of really like popular music. It's like they I can't remember the name of the song, but it goes like, "Cut my life into pieces, this is my last resort," and they play that song as he's like driving on the motorbike, trying to chase after all the bosses. He's fighting all the bosses. He grabs a motorbike and he slams it into the two bosses from the third game, which I think is supposed to be a reference to something he does actually do in the games. But they're like, damn, he's cool, because he is. But in the end, he's able to defeat, or at least get past all the bosses, gets to the White Rabbit, and just as he's about to like kill the White Rabbit, he's out of a 1 mile radius from Lady, so his face blows up, and you can see like half of his face is like gruesomely blowed up, and it's like, ugh. It's like Two-Face. He looks like Two-Face in that scene. But the White Rabbit captures him and like hijacks like the vice president's plane or something, and takes the vice president, the big fat guy. I'm just gonna call him like the fat guy. I'm sorry. I know he has a name, but I can't remember it. And Dante, and as well as a couple other people, and he has them as prisoner, and he actually kills the guy that's like the brains of the operation that's trying to track the signal of the amulets. He kills him as well, and almost kills a guy that he almost killed in episode 1, who we later find out is actually working for him because he blackmails him with his children's lives. So the White Rabbit is a really cool villain. His backstory is really sad, but we'll get into that. That leads into episode 3, which obviously it tells two stories. You've got the Darkcom Strike Force and Lady. They track the White Rabbit, the amulet that the White Rabbit has. They track him to this like abandoned construction site. Oh, this all takes place in New York as well, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. They follow him to this abandoned construction site area, and when they go in, they are locked in, like they're trapped in, and they find out there's loads of like demons. I can't remember the official name for them. It's like, it starts something with like an M. If you guys can let me know in the comments, that'd be cool. But they are all sort of captured in here, and they all go down like flies. The bosses of the games just absolutely like slaughter the strike team. Lady's the only one that makes it out of there alive, which is obvious considering the fact that she's basically like a co-main character in this, aside from like Virgil, but he isn't really even in this season. And then while all that's going on, you've got the two demons from the third game, and they play a tape that the White Rabbit left behind for Dante, saying that my two minions will blow up this plane and everyone will be hurling down, they'll all die, but that will be fine because you will activate Devil Trigger and you will save them all. And they're all like, Devil Trigger, what's that? Not even Dante knows. And the fat guy's like, oh yeah, Dante's gonna kick all your asses once he unlocks Devil Trigger. And he's like, what's a Devil Trigger? And Dante's like, I don't know. And I like the bit where he's like, hey, so remind me again, which one of you is the talking leaf blower and which one of you is the Human Torch knockoff? But Dante is able, and this actually goes on for quite a few episodes. I think like 3 episodes you've got this thing where you've got Lady going through the White Rabbit's hideout, mourning the loss of her people, and she finds, as she describes it, a Nazi lab of the fact that she finds because the White Rabbit has like a lot of these demons that he smuggled in from the underworld, and he smuggled them into the human world, and they're like refugees. They are completely innocent. So while most demons are bad, there are some really, really good ones that just want to live a normal life. And because they even say you call it hell in things like your Bible, but it's not hell, because that would be an understatement of how brutal it is there, which is like, oh, damn, because the whole thing is that because Sparta cut off the connection to the human world and to all other worlds, assumingly, it makes it so that the air is intoxicated, the environment is absolutely rubbish, to the point where the demons, unless you're like really, really powerful demons like Mundus is, you simply will not survive. They say most newborns don't even make it past their first year because the air is just that toxic, which is like, damn. So the White Rabbit made this device that takes advantage of like the times of the portals that the barrier's weak, and manages to keep the portals that are made open long enough to smuggle in loads of demons, and he gives them all the chance. And because these refugees want to have their children have a better life, they go through. But now in the end, all the White Rabbit is doing, he's essentially kept them prisoner there, not letting them go anywhere else, and has let them watch as orphans. I can't remember whether it's human orphans or just refugee kids, but and has let them watch as orphans are brutally experimented on and are mutilated and transformed into demons that have no other choice but to do as he says, which was brutal, especially when you get to actually see the lab, and then like one of them grabs onto a lady and is like, please kill me. It's like, oh, you really get a feel for just how like evil he is. And like, at first I thought, because they say that the White Rabbit is probably a powerful demon who has possessed something in the human world, like a rabbit toy, and is walking around with like a vessel, possessing a vessel, like some low-level demon or a physical object like a rabbit toy. And I thought that it would have been Virgil. Me and my friend thought that because we were texting each other while this was all going on, because we were watching it at the same time. But then I got to that bit and I was like, no, because Virgil's obsessed with getting more power, but it's like, I don't even think Virgil would go as far as to experiment on orphans and to experiment on children to get power. So I knew that it just couldn't have been Virgil. So then I started thinking, maybe it's Mundus's vessel, because of the fact that, obviously Mundus would really go that far. But then obviously you've got like the massive reveal later on, which was just earth-shattering. Episode 6, by the way, that was my favourite episode for reasons I'll get into in a second. But then you've got Dante. He actually manages to unlock Devil Trigger, and his demon form, it's cool, but it's also not cool. It's not as cool as it is in the games, especially the 5th games. I think they could have made it look a lot better, because my friend thinks that it looks like a Pokemon. I think that it looks like alright, but I feel like there's some problems with it. It just looks a bit bland and basic. But I think my thought process is that over the course of the show, because the show will definitely get more than one season, it has to, after the way that season ended. So what I think is that as the show evolves, we'll probably see Dante and Virgil and all the cast members evolve and grow up. So you'll probably see Dante and even Virgil's Devil Trigger forms evolve and evolve until eventually they get to how they are now in the games, where it looks far better and far cooler. So yeah, that was. Hold on. I just needed a drink. Believe it or not, it's quite hard to talk about something like this while you are not having anything to drink. I can go back there now. But yeah, Dante gets Devil Trigger and he kills the red one of the twins, and then the blue one blows up the plane, and then it's a thing where he has to try and... It reminded me of Iron Man 3 actually a lot, the scene where everyone's falling from the planes and Dante has to try and save them. And he does actually manage to save them, slow the descent. I think he puts a parachute on all of them. And as this is all going on, he's getting flashbacks to the day that his family was killed. And you get flashbacks to bug-eyed Virgil. I swear, his eyes, man, Virgil's eyes, like Dante's eyes are like, kid Dante's eyes like alright size, then you've just got Virgil's eyes like massive. They're bigger than his head. Imagine him crying. If baby Virgil cries, it'll fill up an entire ocean. But yeah, you get to see how they sound, and you get to see Dante watch his whole family getting brutally murdered in front of him as his house burns down. So he's getting like PTSD flashbacks. I'm pretty sure Lady obviously is getting PTSD with her team dying, but she's also getting PTSD with her father, because her father and her mother, when she was a kid, they were attacked by a demon, and his father started to become obsessed with proving that demons were real, and that leads into, again, episode 6, which we'll get into. But yeah, Dante manages to save everyone that was falling, and at the same time you've got Lady, who meets a plasma that was pretending to be a member of her team, who's like who it's replaced, because it wants to infiltrate Darkcom, and so she tries to make a deal, being like, the person you've just taken the form of is like, he's not that high rank of an officer, but I am, so I can get you places that he can't. But in the end, she ends up sort of tricking them by having the plasma pretend to be her, so that one of the bosses is tricked into attacking her, while she then shoots the boss with the bullet, which obviously kills her, and the plasma sort of like paralyzed because it's pinned down onto the floor by like a bunch of spikes. But eventually Lady's able to fight her way, sneak her way up to the top floor where the signal's coming from, where the White Rabbit is supposed to be. And then, obviously, because this is all taking place in New York, so Dante's falling from the sky down onto New York as Lady's fighting inside of New York. But in the end, they all end up meeting up because Dante ends up getting down onto New York, and he sees all the explosion, all the fighting going on in the building, because all of the Darkcom officers manage to arrive, because she calls for backup and she tells them not to kill the refugees, because she sympathizes with the refugees, and she's starting to learn that not all demons are the exact same. So she tells them to save the refugees, get them out of here, get them to somewhere safe. So obviously that Dante manages to see all that going on in the distance, and as he's fighting the blue boss, he makes his way over to there. In the end, he loses Devil Trigger, and he crashes into the top floor where Lady is. Lady shoots the boss in the head, and that's it. Those are those two bosses done and dusted. And then you get to like the top floor where the White Rabbit records a message to Dante, and essentially, even though at this point in the story, because actually, yeah, I forgot to mention that, sorry guys, in episode 3, he takes Dante's amulet. So he has both amulets, and he's also got the Forced Edge. So nothing should be stopping him from opening the portal. But he needs one more thing. He needs the blood of all the families of Sparta, of all of Sparta's children. So, but he couldn't do that because Dante hadn't unlocked his demon form yet. So he needed to get Dante to unlock his devil trigger, so that Sparta part of his DNA could activate. That way he can then take his blood to use it, as well as Virgil's blood, to be the final thing needed to pull it all together. And obviously, that's what he does. He lures Dante by saying, I've got all these demons, they're going to attack these innocent people. And Lady manages to figure this all out, that he needs Dante's blood and all that. And the rabbit, very clever, is like, yes, you're right, I do need Dante's blood. And this is going to be a trap. But we both know Dante is just so arrogant that he will go into this trap anyway, knowing that it's a trap, knowing that he's going to lose, just because he's that arrogant, which is, like, really true. And Dante obviously ends up going to, or at least tries to go to him. And that's when we get into episode 6. Hi guys, this is a line from after I finished recording the video yesterday. I realised while editing it that the video is almost an entire hour long. So to make it shorter, I've decided to cut the video into, well, 2. The second part will be available in the description of this video. There'll be a link to it there. And yeah, with that being said, guys, I have been Owain on the Thomas First channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ta-da!